When he said, when I was alone, I would talk to God, I was like, yes. You may not think he's here for the right reasons, but just for that alone, I do think he would make a good husband. Hi everyone, my name's Dimitri and welcome back to DimitriTube, The Bachelor, episode 5. Let's talk about it. As always, if you're enjoying my videos, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. I'm a growing YouTuber and the likes and subscribes really help me out. So just two quick things before we get started. First, y'all were dragging the out of me for my outfit choices last week. You know, sometimes we just have different tastes, but I will say I was surprised at how much y'all was on my neck for what I chose last week. Next, I think this is gonna be a very short season. So next week is episode 6 and we're already at hometowns. So I'm not gonna look back on previous seasons I've reviewed because I just don't have time. But I think hometowns is normally episode 7. Normally Bachelor seasons are 11 or 12 episodes. And I'm assuming if hometowns is next week, that's episode 6, it's gonna be hometowns, tell all, 2-part finale. So that would be like 9 episodes total, which would be very short. Katie Thurston's season was like 10 episodes and they've had a few seasons of The Bachelorette that were 10 episodes, but for The Bachelor, that would just be very short. So I don't really know what's going on. Okay, that's all I got. Let's dive into the episode. For this week, the contestants are in Edinburgh, Scotland, or Edinburgh. I'm truly not sure how to say it. So, fun little story. So when I was in Spain last fall, I met a guy who said he was from here, from Edinburgh. And I asked him, I was like, where's that? And he responded, he's like, you don't know where that is? And I was like, no. Like, I truly had no idea where that was at. In general, there's just a lot of places in Europe that people are from and I just don't know where it is. But America is very much the main character because you can name some fairly random places in America and a lot of Europeans will know where it is, which was like really surprising to me. And also, as an American, Scottish accents and Irish accents sound exactly the same to me. But if you ever go over there or meet someone, do not get them confused because they will take offense to it. I met another guy from Ireland and I asked him where he's from and then he was like, you can't tell where I'm from. And I was like, no, I think it's one of those countries near England, but it's not England. Like, I just left it at that because he was waiting for me to slip up and say the incorrect country, but you're not gonna catch me slipping. Yep, it's that time, outfit of the episode. For this week's outfit of the episode, I'm giving it to Carolina during the intro. Carolina is wearing a cream beanie with a scarf, a black poofy coat with a short crop top, a striped skirt, stockings, and some like kind of high black boots. This outfit was just cute. It was fun. It looked perfect to walk around Edinburgh. And y'all, I've said this multiple times this season. I don't love Carolina's style, but I recognize that she does her style very well, and I absolutely love this outfit. And overall, the outfits this episode were not that great, but we're gonna talk about more of them. Like, just in the grand scheme of the episode, I do think this one was the best outfit. An honorable mention to Serafina's outfit. I thought this was really cute. Like, I didn't love it, but I did like it. This was very grunge. I love this jacket with the oversized jeans. The first one-on-one we get is with Juliana, and I was so excited when she got this date. At this point, I am rooting for her. For the date, they take a helicopter around Edinburgh. They get to try on some clothes and then they go to, and then they get an opportunity to go to a ball specifically for them. And then after the ball, they go outside and look at some fireworks. This was a very fun date and it definitely is a romantic fantasy. But I will say, I think Juliana found it a little bit corny, but once her and Grant got into it, they just had like fun with it. And before the ball, Grant gives Juliana a necklace, and I'm curious if Juliana was allowed to keep that necklace because she also got to wear it at the rose ceremony at the end of the episode. And y'all, Juliana wants to take Grant to the fantasy suite so bad. The way they were kissing in that helicopter, and then in the confessional, Juliana is like, I'm wondering what's going on under that kilt. I was just like, oh my God, Juliana, can we cool it down for a moment? Well, I get it. You think he's hot. And when it comes to Juliana's dress, I thought it was very pretty, but the one read I do have is like, I didn't love the color. It was like a Barbie pink, and I just thought it was a little cliche. A princess in pink, shocking. But I could just be reading a little too hard, but I did wish it was a different color. After that, we move on to the night portion, and Juliana talks about how someone close to her had an addiction problem. It left her alone because she didn't want to put more on her family, but also she was nervous to talk talk about it. And Juliana says she's a very bubbly person because she does not want to go back to the darkness she saw, and she spent a lot of time being sad in her past, and she does not want to go back to that. And when Juliana initially explained this, it was very vague. Like, I did not even understand the story, but then we got a confessional with Grant, and Grant clarifies one of her friends, family members, had an addiction problem. She had a tough time, and then I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about. And Juliana at one point also says, I cry alone, I don't cry in front of other people, and I just thought, wow, true Italian. And Grant towards the end of the date says, those days you don't feel good, I'm gonna carry you and we're gonna get through it together. And I thought that was so sweet. And overall, this was just a really good one-on-one. Grant, for the most part, really related her because he felt like in his life he had a lot of moments where he felt alone. And after watching this one-on-one, I just felt like Juliana got it in the bag. Like, who else is doing it like her? I'll wait. Like, overall, I feel like there's no other contestant that has a connection that comes anywhere close to this one. The only read that I do have is that Grant is a Sagittarius and Juliana is a Taurus, which that is not a very good match at all, but the other signs aren't a good match either, which we're gonna talk about later. After that, we move on to the group date, and for the group date, they're in front of this Scottish castle, and they basically have a field day, and they do like a bunch of random activities. A lot of them are Scottish themed. And sidebar, I thought Serafina's outfit was really cute. They drink and eat. They do a paper toss, which I guess is like throwing a tree trunk. They do musical chairs. They do fortunes. This was actually a really fun group date. During the date, Carolina is complaining about it the entire time in the confessional, and while on the date, she's just acting pretty moody and standoffish. Grant sees this and pulls her for a one-on-one. The other contestants get mad because they feel like Carolina is monopolizing the time. And just a few things I want to point out about the conversation. Grant asks her, are you having fun? And she responds,
I'm having fun.
Y'all know, I do not like when women do this. Why lie? It is clear you are not having a good time. It is clear something is wrong. Just say what's wrong. Like, why do we have to go in these circles of, you should be able to tell from my expression that something's wrong? Like, why like, we don't have to do all that. Carolina starts crying and says how hard it is for her, but she also says she thinks Grant has stronger connections. And then Grant responds, I'm not even sure if you want to be here. It's very clear at this point, if Carolina wants to stay, Grant will figure it out and continue to work on the relationship. But if she wants to leave, she needs to say that and go. It's very annoying because at this point, it just seems like Carolina wants him to make the decision for her. Like, she's the type, she doesn't want to break up with him. She wants Grant to break up with her so she doesn't seem like the villain. But like, girl, it's clear you don't want to be there. And I truly do not understand why people do this. Like, a lot of people do not want to be the person who breaks up with the other one because they're worried that it's going to make them feel bad. They don't want to be the villain, like, for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, if y'all aren't meant to be together, it really doesn't matter who breaks up with who. But as we've seen for most of the season, Carolina likes to play victim, so it makes sense that she does not want to be the one to break up with him. And then next in the conversation, Carolina finally opens up to him a bit, and Grant responds, when we first connected, you were one of my strongest connections. And she immediately responds back, you see, I was one of your strongest connections, not anymore. And I didn't say that word for word as they said it, but that was basically the gist of the conversation. And at this point, I'm just ready for Carolina to go home. When it comes to Carolina and Grant, Carolina is listening to Grant, but she's not hearing him. Like, Carolina just kind of hears what she wants to hear. This is a game show. We need to make it to the end. We cannot just announce you're the winner right now. Like, Carolina, Grant cannot just be like, oh, by the way, you're number one and you're going to be the number one for the next 4 weeks. Like, he can't say that. Like, that's not how this works. Next, it is very clear to Grant that something is wrong, something is going on, and Grant basically has to like pull teeth to get it out of her. And Grant can feel that. And instead of opening up about her problems to Grant, she's solely focused on who's the lead. Like, she is not hearing this man, and it's just annoying. And Grant was able to get her to feel a little better, but the other contestants are still mad. And overall, Carolina she just doesn't get it. After that, we move on to the night portion, and like, what is Alex wearing? This looks like something you would see on like Flavor of Love. And like, no shade, if I was the cameraman filming, I would have asked her to like go to the back and have one of the other contestants walk down in the front, because that dress should not have been the main focus. And sidebar, Dina's dress was cute. I didn't love it, but I did think it was cute. And there is a one-on-one with Grant and Zoe, but I'm gonna talk about that more towards the end because it's really quick. Anyways, but during the night portion, Carolina is mad because nobody wants to include her in the conversation. But like, why would anybody want to with that nasty attitude? It's almost like Carolina has only child syndrome, and this whole argument was really dumb. And then when Carolina confronts them, they tell her it's because of her poor attitude and she's monopolizing time. And then after Dina and Serafina told Carolina why she wasn't including her in the conversation, Carolina immediately after says, well, I don't owe you anything. And like, she just doesn't get it. And Carolina continues to think the whole world is against her. At one point, she says, everyone has a problem, but I stay in my lane. And then I'm like, so if that's the case, then why are you mad no one's talking to you? If you're staying in your lane, them not including you in the conversation would not bother you. And overall, it's clear to me, Carolina is the type of person who wants community, but she does not want to give to the community or have any sort of accountability. And in general, the word community is just like so overused on social media right now. But Carolina is very much the type. She wants to have the community at her disposal. She wants to be friends with people. She wants people to talk to, But you cannot expect the same courtesy back from her. Dina feels absolutely played by Carolina, and she has a one-on-one with Grant, and she brings this up to him. She does not specifically name Carolina, but she makes it overtly clear who she's talking about, and she doesn't make it like a goose chase like we see on other episodes of The Bachelor. After that, we get a one-on-one with Latia. They explore Edinburgh, they drink wine, play bagpipes, walk around the city, and they meet up with a couple old ladies who are like knitting. And I don't know if y'all noticed this, but they all took a toast, and those two old ladies who were knitting definitely had flasks. Like, they're just getting trashed in the streets of Edinburgh while knitting. And overall, not really much happened on the day portion of this date, but at the end, Grant does say he sees a marriage and a future with her, and I agree with that. Like, Grant and Latia do make sense. And overall, Latia is fine. She's just a little weird. Like, I do think she would make a great partner for whoever she ends up choosing in life. It's just, she's just a little weird. After that, we move on to the night portion. Latia's dress is fine, and I did think her shoes were cute. In general, Latia's fashion to me is not really anything to write home about. During their one-on-one, Latia talks about her family. She says that the family will be fine, but her family is very conservative and very religious. She mentions how she's Mormon and that in the past she has only dated other Mormons. And in the future, when she's raising kids, she wants a heavy importance on God. Grant responds that God is important for him to live the right way. And then he also talks about how growing up, there were nights where he was eating dinner in his room by himself. And Grant overall just wants family things like family dinner. And he mentions that oftentimes when he was alone, he would talk to God. So let's unpack this. First of all, let me just say, a lot of people think Grant is just not here for the right reasons. They don't trust him. But in his defense, when he said, when I was alone, I would talk to God, I was like, yes. You may not think he's here for the right reasons, but just for that alone, I do think he would make a good husband. We love a God-fearing man. Next, Latia is starting to make a little more sense to me. She sounds like a little bit of a Jesus freak, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. Like I said before, I always thought she was like a little weird, but now it seems like she grew up in like a overly religious environment. And overly may not even be the right word, but she grew up in a very religious environment. It was possibly sheltered, and to me, it just comes off what's the word? Okay, let me explain this the best I can. It looks like she grew up on a farm somewhere on the West Coast in an overly religious environment, and to me, it seems like she may have been a little sheltered, so she's a little bit of a Jesus freak. And that's not a bad thing, and to me, that's why she seems like a little weird. In general, there's just like a lot of West Coast people who seem to have like their head in the clouds, and she has that like little bit of aloofness that I'm talking about. And if this does not make sense, put it below in the comments. I really don't, that's probably the best I can explain it, but if you really don't understand what I mean, just put it in the comments. I'll try better to explain. Next, I do not think Grant is understanding the gravity of this situation. To me, it sounds like Latia wants to raise her children to be overly religious. She plans to be heavily involved in the church, and she wants a husband who wants to be a part of that as well. And Grant understands the importance of God, but it doesn't seem like he understands of the importance of like raising religious children and being heavily involved in the church. Like, I don't think he understands the gravity of all this. And not only that, we find out Latia has never dated someone who's not Mormon. And I was waiting for Grant to ask this question: is dating someone else who's Mormon important to you? Because that would mean Grant needs to convert. And I said this earlier in the season when we were first introduced to Latia. Most black men are not willing to convert to Mormonism. So if that is a big deal for her, they're probably not a good match. If she's open to a different religion, there may be some discussion with that, but most black guys are not down to switch to Mormonism. And overall, I think Grant and Latia are a great match. It's just, I don't think their lifestyles are gonna work. Also, Grant is an aspiring rapper and she's a church girly. That is not gonna work. And overall, it just seems like being Mormon and specifically Latia's church has a community aspect that she really likes and enjoys. And I don't think she's gonna wanna give that up or try to find another one. Yes, there are other ones out there, but to me, she seems like she really likes what she has, and I don't think she's gonna want to give that up, but maybe next week during hometowns we'll find out more. And last thing I want to say about this, it's one thing to like believe in God and be very religious, but it's another thing to be a part of a specific church community, and I just feel like Grant is just not fully grasping what that entails. And I think Latia really wants that community to be a large part of their lifestyle, and I don't think Grant fully understands what that entails. After that, we move on to the rose ceremony. And earlier in the episode, during the group date, Zoe had a one-on-one with Grant during the night portion. And Zoe brings up the fact that she has not had a one-on-one. And specifically on this date, he gave Carolina more attention than her. And Grant very much gave her a whole lot of fluff back. Usually at this point, if a lot of contestants were in Zoe's position, they would just like self-eliminate. So then going into the rose ceremony, Zoe's talking about hometowns like she's going, and I was like, girl, please, you ain't going to hometowns. So then fast forward, we find out our top four, and it's Latia, Juliana, Dina, and Zoe, and this was the gag. I was shocked that Zoe is going to hometowns. They haven't even had a one-on-one date. What are we even doing? And just a few more things I want to mention before I wrap up the video. So I thought Zoe's dress in the rose ceremony was cute. The only thing I didn't like is it was like a full length gown. I wish it was like a diagonal cut, or I wish it was like a little shorter or had a slit. It just needed something. It just looked a little weird that it was just like a full length gown down to the ground. And then Latia's dress, I loved the colors on this dress, but the overall garment, she looked like a shaman or something to me. And then right before the rose ceremony starts, Carolina pulls Dina for a one-on-one, and Carolina apologizes to Dina and tells her she appreciates what she did and values their friendship. The only reason I think Carolina did this is because she knew she was about to get kicked off the show, and she realized, wow, I've been here a whole season and I have absolutely no friends. So I feel like she did it. At least she'll maybe keep Dina as a friend, but I do think she learned something in that moment, and I do think she was just trying to save her only possible friendship she had. So for my predictions, I think the top two is going to be Juliana and Latia, and I think Juliana is going to win. And is there any other worlds where it's not Juliana and Latia in the top two? If you think somebody else is in the top two other than Juliana and Latia, put it below in the comments, but I really don't think it could be anyone else but them. And then for Fantasy Suites, I think Dina will be the third contestant for the Fantasy Suites. I really don't think it's going to be Zoe, but also if it's Zoe or Dina, I don't think it really matters. I don't think either of them stands a chance of being top two. I don't know, for me it's pretty clear, but you never know, maybe ABC will surprise us. And let me know below in the comments who you think's gonna win. I think it's Juliana, but if you think it's someone else, put it below in the comments and let me know why. And one last thing before I wrap up, Latia is a Pisces, Zoe is a Pisces, Juliana is a Taurus, and Dina is a Libra. And with Grant being a Sagittarius, none of those are particularly good matches, so at this point it's like anyone's game. I apologize, y'all. I was reading my charts a little too quickly. A Sagittarius and Libra is a pretty good match. My bad. And Dina is the Libra. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.